There are plenty of classic horror movies to float your boat and fill you with dread right before you fall asleep, from movies like Friday the 13th to Nightmare on Elm Street and of course Psycho. We have discussed these movies countless times, so today we're going to be looking outside the box and examining the movies that went undetected on our radar, or the ones we just forgot existed altogether. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary underrated films that are rarely discussed. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. With that, let's jump in. In at number 5 we have Apostle. Apostle is a 2018 period horror film written, directed and edited by Gareth Evans and starring Dan Stevens. The movie takes place in 1905 with prodigal son Thomas Richardson returning home, only to learn that his sister is being held for ransom by a religious cult. Determined to get her back at any cost, Thomas travels to the idyllic island where the cult lives. As Thomas infiltrates the island's community, he learns that the corruption of mainland society that they claim to reject has infested the cult's ranks nonetheless, and uncovers a secret more evil than he could have imagined. The movie, though a slow burn, builds over its 129-minute duration and becomes a gory good time for horror movie lovers. Saying that though, there were a couple of scenes that had my hands covering my mouth, with some images still lingering in my mind today. It's a lot to swallow, but a smart period horror and a suspenseful thrill from start to finish. The movie currently holds an 80% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, Apostle resists easy scares in favour of a steady, slow-building descent into dread, led by a commanding central performance from Dan Stevens. In at number 4 we have Cheap Thrills. Cheap Thrills is a 2013 black comedy horror film directed by E.L. Katz in his directorial debut. The movie follows Craig, a mechanic who has lost his job and needs to provide for his wife and newborn daughter. After running into an old friend, the pair meet up with an eccentric millionaire and they all decide to have a little fun. This quickly turns into a game of double dare, with their friendship being put to the test as they are forced to amputate body parts and even eat a dog at one point. Yeah, this movie is a lot to swallow, that's for sure. Craig's limits are tested throughout the movie as we see what he would do for $250,000, and honestly, it's a lot. As of right now, the movie holds an 89% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, gleefully nasty and darkly hilarious. Cheap Thrill lives down to its title in the best possible way. Joey Ladin from Variety went on to call it a thoroughly nasty piece of work, which doubtless will be the strongest selling point for this worst case scenario about steadily escalating dares and degradation. Honestly, if you like gore, blood and all things torture porn, you will have a great time watching Cheap Thrills. Like I said, it's a lot to stomach, but it is definitely worth it. In at number 3 we have Pontypool. Pontypool is a 2008 Canadian horror film directed by Bruce McDonald and is set in the small town of Pontypool, Ontario, where radio announcer Grant Mazzy is accosted by a nonsensical woman who repeats the word blood several times before staggering away. Very strange. However, this is just the beginning of a series of bizarre occurrences. When Grant Mazzy reports to his basement radio station, he thinks it'll just be another day. But when he hears reports of a virus that turns people into zombies, Mazzy barricades himself in the radio booth and tries to figure out a way to warn his listeners about the virus and its unlikely mode of transmission, the English language. This is a zombie film like no other, with the residents losing their minds and their cohesion over time, and soon the only thing they know to do is eat the mouths of those who can still speak. How terrifying is that? The film has garnered an 84%, with the general consensus reading, witty and restrained but still taut and funny. This Pontypool is a different breed of low-budget zombie film. Pontypool is a movie that deserves a whole lot more attention than it gets, with it being a superb horror considering its shoestring budget. The cast is brilliant, the script is haunting and the visuals absolutely bloody. It has absolutely everything you need in a zombie-esque horror movie. Trust me, it's definitely worth your time. Coming in at 2 we have Street Trash. Street Trash is a 1987 body horror film directed by J. Michael Murrow and is a cult classic independent horror comedy and is one of a number of films known as melt movies. The movie centers on a liquor store owner who sells alcoholic beverages to homeless people, unaware of what the bottles actually contain, toxic brew. Now it should be said that Street Trash is one of the most outrageous horror movies, not just on this list, but out of most movies we have ever discussed on this channel, and that's saying something. The film quite literally begins with a couple couple buying ancient liquor, but once they drink the concoction, they melt. Yeah, it's as simple and as weird as that. Now it should be noted that the movie is not for the faint-hearted, with it being filled to the brim with tasteless jokes, including a scene where homeless people play catch with severed parts of the human body. Roy Frumps, who wrote the screenplay, stated, "I wrote it to democratically offend every group on the planet, and as a result the youth market embraced it as renegade work, and it played midnight shows." And well, he did exactly what he set out to do, because this movie will offend absolutely everyone who watches it, but in all the best ways. As it stands, the film holds a 67% approval rating, with Bill Gribben calling it a celebration of all that is excessive and exciting in the world of splatter films. It is a truly misguided masterwork. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Cronus. Cronus is a 1993 Mexican independent horror movie written and directed by Guillermo del Toro, and is the director's first feature film. The movie tells the story of antique dealer Jesus Gris, who stumbles across Cronus, a 400-year-old scarab that, when it latches onto him, grants him youth and eternal life, but also a thirst for blood. As Gris enjoys his newfound vitality, he's unaware that a dying old man, Dieter de la Guardia, has sent his nephew Angel to find the scarab and bring it back to him. But Gris will not give immortality up easily, even risking the life of his orphan granddaughter. Now, Cronus is and has remained one of del Toro's seminal works, and showcased just what he can do with a small budget. And the answer is creating something truly chilling, frightening horror fans for over a decade. No one does horror quite like del Toro, and his passion for the genre shines through in Cronus, a movie that is just as terrifying today as it was back in the 90s. As of right now, the film currently holds a 90% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, "Guillermo del Toro's unique feature debut is not only gory and stylish, but also charming and intelligent." In the early 2010s, Time Out conducted a poll with several authors, directors, actors, and critics who have worked within the horror genre to vote for their top horror films. Cronus was placed at number 96 on their top 100 list. Not too bad. I mean, not the best, but still not too bad. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any underrated films that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 scary horror movie demons. Michael Horton said, "Hail Queen Lucy, demons bow and cower before you, my lady." Damn straight. If I don't see you bowing, you better leave. A Beautiful Twisted Mind said, "Deadites over Cenobites, are you insane, Lucy?" Yes, clinically. Clinically insane. If you watched my last video, you'd know I'm absolutely off my rocker. Something's not right in here. Pagan Panda said, "Excellent content, I vote for part 2. As always, it is an honor to be entertained by our queen, the creator of fear and darkness throughout the hearts and minds of thousands of viewers. Thank you, Lucy, for never ceasing to feed the needs of the feigning horror enthusiasts. I look forward to your next video." This is a great comment, thank you so much, I appreciate it. I'm here to fulfill all your horror needs, and mine. A user I can't pronounce said, "How many horror movies did Lucy watch in her whole life?" In my whole life, I couldn't possibly count, but a lot. A lot. That's all I can say. Cosmic Moon said, "You missed Valak from The Conjuring." My bad, she is pretty damn terrifying, but I thought there were better ones to include. Big D said, "Love the outfit, Lucy, looks great on you." I have no idea what I was wearing, but I'm sure it was great, thank you. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, I'll see you later. Alright editors, this list's gonna be short.
Slow it down a tiny bit, maybe.
You slow it down.
I will.
This is a zombie film like no other, with the residents losing their minds and their cohesion. Pontypool is a movie that deserves a Pontypool unaware. Burp slipped out. And well, he did what